What we're going to do over the next few days is look at the situations when the ball isn't sitting on a nice flat lie. Now, although Hoylake is described as a relatively flat golf course, if you think about it, there are very few occasions when you absolutely get a flat die. There's all sorts of subtle little variations of slopes on the golf course, and we have to change our technique for all of those slopes. So what we've done today is we're going to just look at those shots that were on an upslope. So when we're on an upslope, there's a few things that we have to bear in mind. First, and probably the most obvious thing, is that when the ball's on an upslope, the ball is likely to go much, much higher. That's due to the increase in the loft of the club face here. You can see the angle of the golf club here has actually increased when I tip it backwards. The second thing we have to look at is the balance when we play these shots. The ball is sitting on an upslope, and the moment I actually position myself on the upslope, the tendency is for the weight to move into the lower part, the lower leg, as we play the shot. What we want to try and make sure that happens is as we go through the ball, we don't lose our balance. So we'll have to look at a technique for doing that. And the third thing we have to look for is the curvature. How does this shot affect the curvature of the ball? So let's look at those in order. So we talk about the loft. The first thing I've said is that the ball's going to go higher. So the chances are you might need to go down into a stronger lofted golf club. So if you were thinking of a 9-iron, from the flat lie you might want to go to an 8 or even to a 7. The 7-iron now has much more of the loft that your 9-iron would have, but also because it's got a little bit more power to it, it's now going to help you to not have to force the ball, and that's going to help you maintain your balance through the shot. And the final thing, the curvature. Well, the curvature comes purely and simply because as we're swinging through the golf ball, because gravity is throwing us this way, our body can't turn out of the shot particularly well. So what tends to happen is the club head and the arms get very, very active through the ball. When that happens, the club head tends to close, thus creating more right to left curvature on the shot. So if we're going to play this particular shot, what do we need to think about? We need to have a slightly wider base in our feet. That's going to help us with our balance. We need to have a stronger loft on our golf club. That's going to help us with the control. That's also going to help us counter the extra height. And we need to try and make sure that we aim slightly to the right hand side of the target. That's going to accommodate the ball going out to the right and drawing back onto the target. So when you're playing this shot, always try and use the slope as your friend. So here I am setting up to the shot, and you'll notice that what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tip my shoulders so that they're parallel to the slope. Okay? Just gently parallel to the slope. Now if I move over here and I go into this severe upslope, you can clearly see now I have very little choice but to stay parallel to the slope. Now the advantage here I'm getting is that this is now really going to send the golf ball high up into the air. But because gravity is wanting to throw me so much this way, I'm actually having to flex a little bit more into this left leg just to balance things up a little bit in my lower body. But I'm here. Now you can see from this precarious position, if I swung at the golf club very hard, there's no way I could stop falling back that way. So having lots of strength in the club face here is going to help me to maintain quite a relaxed, smooth swing. But again, my arms are going to be very active, my club head's going to close, and the ball's going to go off to the left-hand side. So when we're playing on the upslopes, just remember your A, B and C's. Angle of club face, balance, curvature of ball. Remember your ABC, and uphill lies will not be a problem.